Number 45, solve the problem. How long will it take for prices in the economy to double at a 6% annual inflation rate? All right, so let's pretend that we're talking about, just to make things easy for us, the math easy for us, let's pretend that we're talking about a gallon of milk. And let's say that that gallon of milk today costs $1. So what this question is asking is, how long will it take for that same gallon of milk to cost $2, right? Doubling in price, assuming that the economy has an inflation rate of 6% annually. Well, to do the math on that, we have to use the formula for compound interest. And what we're looking at here is A equals P times quantity 1 plus R over N to the Tn power. And in this case, A represents the amount at the end, the amount that we're stopping with. So if we are starting with a gallon of milk that costs $1, and we want to know how much, or rather how long it will take for that gallon of milk to cost $2, then we're stopping at $2, meaning the amount that we want to end up with is $2. All right, so in our case, A will be 2. The P represents the principal, the amount of money that you're starting with. And again, in our case, we're going to start with a gallon of milk that costs $1. All right, well, 1 is pretty self-explanatory, plus R over N. Well, R represents the interest rate, the annual inflation rate in this case. And we always have to convert our percentage, the interest rate, or inflation rate in this case, into decimal form. So 6% as decimal form, or in decimal form, is 0.06. Now, with compounding interest, notice that we have R over N, and we also have an N in the exponent. Well, the N's are the same, and that's the number of times per year that your money is being compounded. So maybe it's compounded every quarter, or every month, or every week. Well, in this case, because we're talking about inflation rate, we're going to say that the money is compounded only once, so annually. So in this case, N would be 1. Normally, if the money that you're talking about is compounded more than once per year, the problem will explicitly say compounded quarterly, which means your N will be 4, or it's compounded weekly, which means your N will be 52, or daily, which means your N would be 365, so on and so forth. But if your money is compounded only annually, once per year, your N will be 1. And T, the time, is what we're looking to solve for. We don't know. So let's go ahead and plug all of this information into this formula and see what we get. So A, well, we know that's 2. A equals P, what are we starting with? The gallon of milk costs $1, times the quantity 1 plus, and we have R divided by N. So we have 0.06 divided by 1. Well, because N is 1, we don't have to write 0.06 over 1, we can just say 0.06, right? So 0.06. If N was anything else, then of course we would have to include it. But remember, anything divided by 1 is just the numerator. All right, to the T times N. Well, again, N is 1, so we can exclude it from this problem, or from this part of the formula, and we're only going to include T, right? T is what we're actually solving for. So let's see what happens here. Well, we have 2 equals and 1 times this quantity. Well, inside the parentheses, we have 1 plus 0.06, so that's going to become 1.06. And we have 1 times this quantity here, right? So normally we would have to follow the order of operations, right? We wouldn't distribute this number first, but because this is a 1, we're going to go ahead and kind of cancel it out, ignore it for this purpose. So we're going to have 1.06 to the T power. Again, if that was any other number, we couldn't do that, right? We would have to follow our order of operations. All right, so what do we have here? We have 2 equals 1.06 T. Let's go ahead and take the log of both sides. So we'll have log of 2 equals the log of 1.06 T. Because we've taken the log, we can go ahead, pull this down out front, that exponent down out front, which gives us log of 2 equals T log of 1.06. We want to solve for T, so let's divide both sides by log 1.06, and that'll give us T is approximately, well, let's see, let's pull up our calculator and find out. So we're saying log of 2 divided by the log of 1.06 gives us 11.895. So let's just round. We'll say 11.9 years. The directions didn't say what to round to, so we'll just round to the first decimal place. So we're saying that it will take approximately 11.9 years for that gallon of milk that costs $1 today to double in price, assuming an annual inflation rate of 6%.